Okay, this is risky behavior to make a video when 3 of my 4 kids are home, but I want to stay in the habit of at least trying to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos, and I know that if I don't do it today, I'm gonna fall out of the habit. So what I want to talk about today is imagining, and it's like a mental exercise. Imagine that you had a clone of yourself. Your eating disorder, all your behaviors, routines, rituals, everything, like everything was cloned. This other person, it was you. And given all the information that you know about eating disorder recovery, what would you advise them to do? I went through this with a client today. Sometimes I'll like turn the tables and ask my clients, okay, so what would you tell yourself? Like if you were coaching you, what advice would you tell yourself? And it's often very uncomfortable for people to have to think about that. And all of a sudden, like you can tell in their brain, they're doing this like shift of like, well, I would tell someone else like this, but for me, I'm an exception because of this blank. And so if you were to clone yourself, then you can't use this excuse of like, well, you know, I would tell this person X, Y, and Z because they're younger. I would tell this person X, Y, and Z because they're family genetics. I would tell this person because, okay, fine, the clone of you, what would you tell them? And usually it's still the same, like, well, if it was a clone of me, I would tell them they need to eat unrestrictedly. I would tell them that they needed to be eating a lot more than they are, even if they think it's too much. I would tell them to cut out all lower level movement. I would tell them, and it's like, so what you need to do is pretend like you're having this out of body experience and just go through the motions as if you're the clone and you're just like running this experiment. Okay, what would I do? For whatever reason, people with eating disorders are really good. I mean, some of that is like, you know, just the denial or the inability to actually see what's going on. But people with eating disorders are really good at being the exception to recovery, right? Being the exception. And if raise your hand, and obviously I can't see you, but I'm sure all of you that are listening will raise your hand when I say, have you ever used something about yourself as a reason why you're different from others and why you can't recover when others possibly can? I know I had probably hundreds of reasons why recovery will work for others, but not me. Other people can do that in recovery, but not me. You have to stop thinking that you're the exception. You have to. And you have to give good, sound advice to yourself when it comes to recovering. Excuse me. Think about like a best friend, right? Even a best friend, if they had all the same genetics and everything as you, and let's say it's not a clone, but a best friend, I certainly hope that you'd give them the advice of do whatever it takes to recover. Doesn't matter if you have, you know, already gained some weight. It doesn't matter if you have heavier people in your family. It doesn't matter if you have genetics for X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. Like really, you don't have a lot when you have an eating disorder in terms of actually living and enjoying life. I'm always baffled by conversations I have with clients about this, like, but if I do that, I'll die early. But if I do this, I'll die young. But if I do this, I'll get this disease and die, you know, premature, all these things. And I'm like, I used to think that way. And I think looking back now, in fact, I can tell you, I know I used all of those as excuses to not actually go through with what I needed to do in recovery because I was scared to death. Now on the other side and now feeling free, I would way rather live. Like I'd rather have 20 years less of life. And this is a profound statement because I seriously am not over exaggerating. I'd rather die 20 years younger, being free from an eating disorder now, than live with my eating disorder my whole life and maybe stretch out, you know, the years of life on this earth in misery. So quality of life is huge in my opinion, and especially quality of mental health. And so if you're still telling yourself this like, oh, and again, just like as a preface, I'm not saying that recovering is going to shorten your life at all. I honestly think it's going to, if anything, give you a chance at living much longer. But if you have that in your mind that you think recovery, a lot of time there's these beliefs that aren't even really reality. But if you believe that it's going to make you die young, fine, believe that. But even still, if that happens, I'm so glad I at least get to live the years I will be here in a mind that can actually enjoy and experience and build memories and connections and whatnot, okay? So to me, like, quality of life is way more important than the years that I spend living. And again, that whole thinking is totally messed up anyways, because if you have an eating disorder, you're not going to be living your maximum potential of living on this earth. Like, it does absolutely affect your physical and mental health. And if you think it's not affecting your physical health because you're not that person that's totally emaciated and underweight, you're wrong. It is. If you're undernourishing yourself for periods of time, long periods of time, years, how are you not? How are you not? The number on the scale is not going to tell us if that's actually occurring, but underfeeding yourself will. Okay? So, yes. So I want you to just give yourself the advice you'd give someone you care a lot about. Give yourself the advice you'd give if you had your clone sitting on the other side of you and you really wanted them to recover, and stop making exceptions for yourself. Okay? I have macaroni and cheese on the stovetop cooking for Hazel, and I told myself I had 5 minutes for this video and I'm at 6, but I want to say one more thing really fast. So I'm going to overcook her noodles. They're going to be mushy and she's going to yell at me because I do that all the time. But I'm going to take one for the team and do this for you guys. One other thought I just had, and it's going to be fast. When I tell people to eat unrestrictedly, or I start explaining to them like how they need to be able to like go on and live their lives, again, don't add things and don't be like this busybody that's getting nothing done but just busy. But I mean, like, let's say you have a doctor's appointment. Let's say you have to go to a class, say you're in college. Let's say you have to go to the grocery store. All these things you actually really have to do that you can't just not do because you're an adult, like living in this world. And you're using those as reasons why you can't eat all day long or you can't eat unrestrictedly. I'm going to ask you to start challenging that. Eat in the car, eat while you're in the grocery store, eat sitting and waiting for a doctor's appointment, eat in your college classes. Most college classes will let you eat. Don't make excuses. Like, unless you're under anesthesia and you're in surgery or you're at the dentist, like, I don't see why you can't find ways to be creative with eating. And so don't use that as an excuse. And the reason that's so hard for people to do is because food's still on a pedestal. They want to be home. They want to be not distracted. It needs to be this like perfect setting, time of the day. All the chores need to be done. All the stresses need to be over. But there's such a checklist of things that need to be done before someone can feel like they can just sit down and really enjoy. And you have to get over that to recover. You have to take food off a pedestal. But the reason that is so hard is because food's still limited for you. You think it's like a one or the other. It's like, well, if I eat in the car, I can't eat the thing I want when I get home. If I eat while I'm talking to my sister, then I won't enjoy it as much, and then I won't really get to enjoy the thing I wanted without distraction. And it's like, you can do both. And exceeding where your baseline or whatever you're used to eating feels so scary that why on earth would you do something like that if someone's asking you to start eating just all the time, even when it doesn't feel like the perfect situation? Why would you do that if you're so limited already with what you can eat? And so really, by doing this, you have to accept the fact that you're going to have to eat a lot more food, which you're supposed to do anyways if you're eating unrestrictedly. And that's how you're going to bring food down off of a pedestal. And that was like a million miles an hour explanation of what I wanted to say there. Hopefully you followed along. I talked really fast. I know you can speed up videos. I don't know if you can slow them down for the last couple of minutes, but I'm absolutely certain that mac and cheese is not going to be edible for Hazel. She's high standards of her mac and cheese not being mushy and not dry. And it's stressful for a busy mom. So I'm going to go, and I hope this video was helpful in some way. Okay, bye.